Write down factorial 2. Factorial 2. Make lazy. Make lazy. Write down. Kalian kat lazy. Make bola dia ini. Mau duaan balain lagi. Apa kata? Okay, factorial 2. Write down verification of the relationship between write down second one. Verification of the relationship between the mass of a body suspended from a helix spring, and its period of oscillation right. First write down materials and apparatus. Materials and apparatus. Materials and apparatus. Right? Write down one by one. A helix spring. A helix spring. A helix spring. A helix spring. Second one. A supporter. A helix. A helix spring. You can write with me. Second one. A supporter. A supporter. Stopwatch. Stopwatch. Two locating pins. Two locating pins. Two locating pins. Six loads or weights. 6 loads or weights of 100 grams. 6 loads or weights of 100 grams. 6 loads or weights of 100 grams. Right. So get here. Right. Manga explain kan it is all. First the apparatus. Right. Apparatus is going to set up like this. Right. First you have to fix the spring to the supporter. Right. You have to fix the spring. Look at the board to the supporter like this. You have to fix the spring to the supporter like this. Right. You are fixing the spring. And here, here we are using something like this, kind of a pan where you can put masses in like this. Right? That is not a bob. That is a pan to add masses. That is a pan to add masses. Right? And look at the board. Now here we are going to use 2 locating pins. No? Why 2? Dekam mogada. Dekak samantara. Dekam mogada. Like calling again adi karagatan. Any idea? Why 2 pins? Again karanna puluwan. For more accuracy, api dekak use karna. Why 2 pins? Any idea? Why we are going to use 2 pins? Again karanna puluwan. I mean, it is doable using 1, right? But still we are using 2 for more accuracy. Why? Any reason? Any reason? Any possible reason? Any thinkable reason? Itulah again. No idea. Right. Ekak kohomat tone nih. Right. See, listen. The reason to use 2 locating pins is, right, 1 pin we are going to fix here. Right? You are going to fix 1 pin here. 1 pin here. right? And one pin here and another pin here for more accuracy, right? Now, when it passes through, right, you can clearly see, right, at which point it exactly passes pins, right? Easily count එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්තම් වෙන්නේ මේ එක පොයින්ට් එකක් දිහා විතරක් බලාගෙන ඉන්නකොට අමාරුයි. right? මෙහෙම පොයින්ට්ස් දෙකක් පාස් වෙන තැනක් බලද්දි ලේසි නෙමෙයි. Got the idea? That is why you are going to use two pins. So මේ දෙකම pins ah. Both of them are pins. Pins දෙකක් මෙහෙම අපි fix කරනවා. Right? So this is the helix spring and this is the supporter, right? Locating pins, there are two locating pins and these are the loads, right? So basically here onwards what we are going to do is we are starting with 100 grams, right? At the 100 gram weight here and give a small displacement, you are taking this, dragging this a little bit downwards and giving a small displacement and release, and this is going to undergo a simple harmonic motion like this, right? This is going to undergo a simple harmonic motion. Then similarly as we did before, right, we are going to count the time period for number of oscillations for 20 or 30 or whatever it is, right, with respect to the setup. To maintain the error less than 1%, you are going to count oscillations and take down the reading and going to repeat the experiment by adding masses, starting with 100 grams and we have 6 loads now, right? Then adding another 100 grams, then 200, 300, likewise up to 600 we can continue. And again we are going to record all values, right? Okay. So first take this down under apparatus. Apparatus. Take it down. Hey, color. What are you? What are you? දැන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 100න් 10 මදි. ඒ කියන්නේ ස්පින් එක හැටියට ගොඩාක් ස්මූත් ස්පින් එකක් නම් 10ක් වගේ අවුලක් නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක දිනවනේ මේ ස්ටිෆ්නස් එකක් K. K ගොඩක් අඩු ස්පින් එකක් නම් පොඩි එකක් අවුලක් නැහැ. දැන් ඒ වගේ එකට මේක දැම්මොත් එහෙම මේ වගේ ඔසිලේෂන්ස් කරනවා. අර depends. ඒක මම කිව්වේ. generally බලනකොට දෙන්නේ 30 oscillations. ඔය ගයිඩ් එකේ තියෙන එක. මේ අනිත් එක මේක දීලා 50 oscillations දැක්කද? දැන් මම කියන්න හදන්නේ 100 grams 25 oscillations කියලා. depends. 50 oscillations count කරනවා කියන්නේ ටික අමාරුයි. ඒ කියන්නේ එක ඉඳන් 50ට මේක දිහා බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා කියන්නේ සෑහෙන අමාරුයි. That depends. ඒක තමයි. If the error is less than 1%, doesn't matter if you are counting 10 oscillations, 15 maybe. Depends on your setup and the spring, because this changes with the stiffness. ඒ කියන්නේ spring constant of the spring. Spring එක නිකන් අර stiffness අඩු එකක් නම් පොඩි weight එකක් ඇති. But if you have a spring with the higher stiffness, you need to have a higher weight. Right? That's it. That's a good question. Right? ඒක තමයි එතන point එක. Right? Sandil, all good? Finish? Okay, then the theory. Theory. Over yang kasut tu. උගේ කාඩ් එකක් කුඩු. නැන්ද? රෙඩියෝ දානවද? ඈ? ඈ? හරි, theory. Write down. Let suspended mass be simple m. Let write down. Let suspended mass be simple m. Let suspended mass be simple m. Let suspended mass be simple m. Let suspended mass be simple m and spring constant be k and spring constant be k. Right. Put a comma and write down. Then period of oscillation is given by. Write down. Then period of oscillation is given by. Then period of oscillation is given by T equals, what is the equation? Period of oscillation of a spring. 2 pi root m over k, right? 2 pi root m over k given by, put a comma and write down T equals 2 pi root m over k. Introduce terms m suspended mass k spring constant. Right? Okay. See, now again T squared equals 4 pi squared m over k, no? Which means T squared equals 4 pi squared over k times m. Right? Okay, now tell me, what is possible to change manually from our end here, from these terms? Huh? Again, there is only one term, only m, right? 4 pi squared is a constant, k is a constant for a given spring, and time exchange karna bahut bad, right? Time exchange karna hamaru yoga, right? Then m is going to be considered as the independent variable x, right? And whatever it is as a product with x with independent variable is gradient, and this is going to be considered as y, right? Now we are going to verify the relationship between T and M, no? Right? If this relationship is correct, T and M, T squared and M, if this relationship is correct, theoretically you should get a straight line which goes through origin, right? Y equals mx. Therefore, now you have to plot the graph. Between T squared and M and check whether this graph goes through, right? Check whether this graph goes through origin. If it goes through origin, this is verified, right? This is verified. So you can say T squared is proportional to M, right? If T squared is proportional to M, T is proportional to root M. It can be verified, right? That's a verification. You have to plot the graph and check whether it goes through the origin point. Got it? Right? Okay, as a theory, take this down. Write down. Right? Mike මොකවත් සද්දයක් නැත්තේ? All good? Shape ඉන්න. Okay, finished? Write down below. If the graph between, right? Only the graph make it work. Come on, now work. Below the graph. If the graph between t squared and m, if the graph between t squared and m, if the graph between t squared and m, if the graph between t squared and m is a straight line goes to origin, is a straight line goes to origin, is a straight line goes to origin, relationship of mention this t squared proportional to m can be verified. Of m can be verified. Right? Okay. Then method. So write down in point form, right? I explain what we are going to do basically generally, right? And now let's see the steps one by one, right? Okay, method. First point. Fix helix spring. Fix helix spring to support and attach a load holder and attach a load holder slash pan, a load holder slash pan to the other end of spring. Second point. At 100 gram load, at 100 gram load into pan pan can hold into pan right? May load so if needed you can label this is the holder or pan, right? Otherwise one by one you have to detach and attach, right? Hold then you can add the weights onto the pan, right? Okay, what did I say? Add 100 grams weight into pan. Okay. Into pan and give a small displacement downwards and give a small displacement downwards and release. Give a small displacement downwards and release. Next point. Measure the time takes for 20 or 25 oscillations. 20 or 25 oscillations as percentage error is maintained at less than 1%. as percentage error is maintained at less than 1%. As percentage error is maintained at less than 1%. Next point, repeat the experiment. Repeat the experiment. Repeat the experiment. Repeat the experiment. Adding 100-gram weights one by one. Repeat the experiment, adding 100-gram weights one by one. Adding 100-gram weights one by one. And record mass and periodic time in following table. And record mass and periodic time in following table. And record mass and periodic time in following table. Right? Now here also, we are not going to take the time for oscillation at once, right? So we take two readings, similar table as before, right? Similar table as before. First one is mass is in grams, right? Mass is in grams. And then these two are the two readings of T. T is measured in seconds. First reading, second reading, and the average and T squared. Same table, right? Same table. Take down 6 pairs. We need 6 pairs, right? And here also T is average periodic time. Average periodic time. This is in seconds. This is in second squared. Maybe. Finished? Write down below. Plot T squared. Units are known. Plot T squared. Put units. Mass is in grams. T in seconds. T squared is in square seconds. Right? Plot T squared against M. 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 And check the shape of graph and verify the relationship as mentioned under theory. And verify the relationship as mentioned under theory. Right? One second. Right, listen. Now, listen. If you get a graph which goes through the origin, that is verified. But usually, we don't get the graph, I mean exact graph, which goes through the origin. What are the reasons? There's a main reason behind it. Usually, we don't get the exact one. What are the reasons? Right, now from here, the method is done, but usually we don't get the exact graph which goes through. Any reasons? Any reasons? What are the reasons? What are the reasons? What again? Huh? We have no reason. Kya? Any reasons? Main negak tiyo. What is the error we have made in simple lem? Ab simple lem mara error kalla diyo. We have made an error in simple lem. What is it? This equation is valid for only for which strings? Huh? Which strings? Which type of strings? In both physics and combined maths, we do the same. This equation is only valid for which type of strings? Online students? Tell me, this equation is valid for only for which strings? I have explained under theory in waves in simple harmonic motion. Oh? Huh? Huh? Strings are by default elastic. Which type of strings? Huh? Tell me that. Yes? Huh? Then I'm going to Huh? Not clear, not clear. Huh? Not clear. No. Tell me, just tell me. Anyone? Simple harmonic motion. Light springs. Light springs. Right? We don't consider mass of a spring. That is why this period remains same. I'll explain again. That is why this period remains same even though the orientation of the spring changes. Right? Doesn't matter whether it's vertical low, horizontal low, angled, inclined low, whatever it is. Right? Period remains same. Period remains same. Because weight of the string is not impacting on this equation, only the mass. So therefore that doesn't matter. But in reality, we don't have light springs, no? Right? We have springs which are like having negligible weights, but not light. 0 grams, that is not 0. Therefore, that error comes into this. There is something that we can't get rid of. Light springs are not really existing. Right? So therefore, usually we won't get this as it is going through the origin exactly. Right? So school එකකෙදී shape එකේදී මේක origin එකේ යන්න ඇඳ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අතර වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම ගන්නවානේ. Right? Points එක දාලා points එකේදී මෙහෙම වෙනවානේ. But in reality it won't go through because of that error. Is it clear? Right. One second. Right. Listen. By the way, did you see that? Mute the name. Teacher tape में गहा लेना बड़ा पेड़ ना mute दांती है. एक ऐनी बात तुला दी. Right. Did you see that? That video getting viral from that Sirmavian or Sirma student? एक रैक्का. मारो ने. ने अत्तरम. I'm serious. I'm serious. එහෙම තමයි වෙන්න ඕනේ නේද? දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝනත් එහෙම දන්නවද ඉතින්? right මම මේ දැනුත් ෆෝන් එක බලද්දි ඒක එකක් දැක්ක ඒක දැන් මට මතක් වුණේ. මම නැත ස්පීච් එක බලුවා. right? So if you haven't seen that video yet, I highly advise you to watch it. Right? Please watch it. Right? So that's the what we call that gut a girl or boy, that doesn't matter, should have, if there is something, I mean, if she is truly deserving it, එයාගේ point එක කතාව ඇහුවනම් දන්නවා ඉතින් speech එක ඇහුවනම්, right? එයා truly deserve, and because of the favorations, that award is award, sorry, award that award is has been given to someone else, and the reason has been the girl is not participated the rehearsals because of an exam, something like that, and one madam has given it to another one who is having not that qualifications, not that maybe achievements compared to her, right? She is already passed out 23 batch again, 23 dana, she's already passed out, right? I think he's from 23 batch, that's 23. දැන් මේ පස්සේ ආපු color coding එකක් මොකක් හරි, right? ඊට පස්සේ ඒක බලන්න, ඒක නියමයි, and what I say is මම මේක කියන්න හේතුව, I mean the reason to share this is, right, with all of you, as Gen Z students, Gen Z කියන එක දන්නවද? ඒක දන්නේ නැත්නම් ඉතින් Gen Z දන්නවද? right? අපි කියන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝ as Gen Zs, right? ඔගොල්ලෝ Gen Z නේ. as Gen Zs something like that. as Gen Zs ඒ වගේ දේවල් නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් තියෙනවා. මොකද ඉස්සර ලොකුවට දැන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් if something goes against, say, the supposed way, usually we don't speak, right? We කියලා කියන්නේ majority don't speak, right? Majority don't speak up, especially girls, right? boys ලාත් majority එක speak up කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඇත්තනේ? කරන්නේ නැහනේ. එහෙම කතා කරන්නේ නැහනේ. මොකක් හරි එකක් තිබ්බොත් නිකන් බලන් ඉන්නව ඇරෙන්න. නිකන් against අපි කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. against කියන්නේ ගහගන්න කියලා නෙමෙයි කියන්නේ. මම කියන්නේ if you see something that is not justifiable, right, not reasonable, then you should be able to, you should have a spine to stand against that. අන්න ඒක තියෙන්න ඕනේ, right? ඒක කවුරුණත් doesn't matter whether boys or girls, right? මම කලින් දවස් ගත්ත ඔහොම එකක් මොකක් හරි මේ ක්ලාස් එකේ මම හිතන්නේ ෂෙයා කරා මේ අර බසස් වල ඉන්සිඩන්ට්ස් ගැන මම කිව්වනේ. අන්න ඒක තියෙනවා. මම එදත් ඔය පොයින්ට් එක කිව්වා. මට වීඩියෝ දැක්කම මාර සතුටු වෙනවා මේ ඒ ගර්ල් එකේ තියෙන ඒ ස්ට්‍රෙන්ත් එක නියමයි. ඒක මරු. ඒක තමයි තියෙන්න ඕනේ. right? I mean, a girl should be girlish. ඒක නෙමෙයි මම කියන්නේ. ගර්ල් කෙනෙක්ට බෝයි කෙනෙක් වගේ වෙන්න කියලා නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි අර ඕන තැනදී එයාට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. අර දැන් එතන වෙන්නේ බෝඩ් එකේ ආරගෙන පැත්තකට යනවා නම් no one knows the story, right? Only those madam and the girl, the victim girl, that's it, maybe, or maybe close friends of that girl, that's it. But now the whole country knows, right? And most probably for sure actions are going to be taken against the staff means the involved parties, right? That is what we should have, right? කියන විදිහට මිනිස්සු කරනවා. If you see that that is not a correct thing to do, not a correct thing that you are seeing, right? What my advice is, you should be able to stand up against, right? ඒක තමයි වෙන්න ඕනේ. නිකන් බලන් ඉන්න බෑ. ඇත්තටම. ඒක quality එකක් ඕගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්න ඕනේ. මට මේක දැක්කම කියන්න හිතුනේ මේ ඒක ඇත්තටම තියෙන්න ඕනේ quality එකක්. ඒ වීඩියෝ එක මම තුන් පාරක් දුකද බැලුවා. මේ ඒක තරම් මාරු. මේ ඒක බලන්න බැලුවේ නැත්තම් award එක ගන්න කලින් එයා කෙලින්ම ස්පීච් එක කරනවානේ, right? අර මැඩම් ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා මේ stop this මෙහෙම කරන්න කියන්න එපා කියලා. අරයා කියනවා මැඩම්ට දැක්කද ඒක? මේ නෑ මැඩම් මොකක් හරි කියලා එයා ඒත් කතා කරන එක. ලොකු කේස් එකක් යනවා. මේ this is only one scene, I mean one incident that you saw, right? There are maybe hundreds, thousands of incidents in any school. Favorations තියෙනවා. schools වල favorations තියෙනවා. not only in schools, මේ society එකේ ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා. right? So if you see something like that, right, now you should be able to stand up against, right? එහෙම තියෙන්න ඕනේ, right? ඒ habit එක ඇත්තටම හදාගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ Tamanට මොකක් හරි අසාධාරණයක් වෙනවා නම් කඩවහගෙන ඉන්න එපා. simply ඒක තමයි මට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ. simple as that. ඔයාට මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්න යනවා නම්, right? ඔයා දන්නවා නම් ඒක ඇත්තටම that is not the correct thing කියලා, right? Don't hesitate to speak up, right? Because once the society is So society understood that what you are saying is correct, the whole society will be standing up with you, right? You are not alone. The other party will be alone, right? What වැරදි point එකක් ඔක් කරන්න බෑ. If you got a wrong point, the vice versa happens. But if you have a valid point, if you have got good point, a point, justification, something like that, right? Don't hesitate to stand up, right? ඒක ඇත්තටම පුරුදු වෙන්න, right? සමහරවිට පොඩි දේවල් දැන් මිනිස්සු ඕන තරම් එහෙම වැඩ කරනවා ඕනම් දැකලා තියෙනවා. නිකන් කිව් එකක් පැන්න වුණොත් ඕනම් කැමති නැහැ. අපි කවුරුත් කැමති නැහැ. හිතන්නකෝ මොනවා හරි කිව් එකක් වගේ ඉන්නවා, right? මොකක් හරි කිව් එකක් ඉන්නවා. බේත් ගන්න ගිහලා මොකක් හරි කිව් එකක් ඉන්නවා. නිකන් එහෙම හිතන්නකෝ. ඊට පස්සේ ආපු කෙනෙක් ડોක්ටර්ගේ ෆේවරේෂන් එකකට ගිහලා ගන්නවා. ඉතින් අපි උදේම ඇවිල්ලා channel එකේ මොකක් හරි channel එකක් දාගෙන අපි උදේම ඇවිල්ලා බලන් ඉන්නවා නම් if someone is skipping the queue because of a contact or a favoration, එහෙම හොඳ නැහැ. එහෙම වෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ තැන්වල ඉතින් be vigilant. ඒ වීඩියෝ එක දැක්ක නැත්නම් බලන්න. ඒක ඇත්තටම හොඳ වීඩියෝ එකක්. right? ඒක නියමයි. කාලෙකින් මේ ඒක ස්කූල් ලෙවල් එකේ වගේ දෙයක් මම හිතන්නේ උනේ. ගොඩ කාලෙකින්. right? මේ ඇත්තටම එයා කතා කරන විදිහෙන් තේරෙනවා that she has everything deserved to do the speech that way. එහෙම නැත්නම් කතා කරන්න බෑ. right? එයා qualifications පොඩ්ඩයි speech එක කියන්නේ. ඊට වඩා යට තව ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. එයා well deserved. That's it. පොඩ්ඩක් නෙමෙයි, එයා well deserved. අර ළඟින්වත් නැති කෙනෙක්ට තමයි ඔක දීලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔක තමයි case එක. right, okay. මොනවද කිව්වේ? මොකද කිව්වේ නැහැ. Mention remarks. As girls, you all should. I'm serious. Again, especially girls සමහරලාවට බයයිනේ කතා කරන්න. ඇත්තටම කියන්නේ. එහෙම වෙන්න එපා. මොකක් හරි තවන්න අසාධාරණයක් වෙද්දි කතා කරන්න බයයි. කමක් නැහැ කියලා පැත්ත කරලා ඉන්නවා. That is not innocence. Innocence කියන්නේ ඒක නෙමෙයි ඔය. කියන්නේ තවන්ට මොනවා හරි වෙනවම මිනිස්සෙක් කියලා අපිව යූස් කරලා යනකම් එහෙම නැත්තම් අර අපෙන් මොකක් හරි අපිට අපි කියන්නේ මොනවද අපිට මේ මොනවද කියන්නේ රෙදි හොදලා යනකම් වගේ එහෙම කියන්නේ අර අපිට යූස් කරලා යනකම් බලන් ඉන්න එපා. right? අනිත් එක එහෙම කට්ටියව සුද්ධ කරන්නත් එපා. අනිත් පැත්තට කතා කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම තමයි. මේ especially girls මේ පොඩි advice එක සෑහෙන්න වැදගත්. when you are moving forward in your life, right? after A-levels කෙලින්ම society එකේ ඉන්නේ. So when you are in the society, right? Society is always unfair. Keep that in mind. Society is always unfair. fair කියලා හිතන කිසිම දෙයක් society එකේ fair නැහැ. කිසිම දෙයක් නැහැ. right? කිසිම දෙයක් නැහැ. Society is always unfair. It's a fact. right? වෙන කෙනෙක්ට benefit එකක් නැත්තම් වෙන කිසිම කෙනෙක් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපිත් එක්ක ඩීල් කරනවා අඩුයි. ඉස්සරහට යද්දි society එකේ. right? එහෙම ඩීල් කරන්නේ ඇත්තටම ඩීල් කරන්නේ parents ලා විතරයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට. without having no benefit at all. right? මොනවා වුණත් ඔයත් එක්ක ඉන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ විතරයි. all the society except your family circle is unfair. right? best friend උනත් එච්චර තමයි ඔය. ඇත්ත කතාව. බොරු නෙමෙයි. කොච්චර close උනත් even though you are maybe very close, same. එහෙම තමයි. ඉස්සරහට තේරෙයි මං කියමු මොකක්ද කියලා සමහරවිට maybe after 10 years, maybe after 15, 20 years of time, right? You will see. ඒ නිසා මේ ඇත්තටම according to my understanding, the only circle you are with without gaining no benefit at all is the family. Immediate family එක. right? girlfriend boyfriend නෑ. no way. ඉස්සරහට තේරෙයි. hey, okay. yes sir. ඉස්සරහට තේරෙයිද? දැන් හිතාගෙන ඉන්නේ නෑ ඇත්තට listen I'm serious. මම මේ කතාවයි කියන්නෙත් නෑ. listen. I'm serious. කොච්චර වුණත් affair එකේ ඉන්නකොට සමහර විට ඒ කියන්නේ affair එක පටන් ගත්ත ගමන් නම් සමහර විට එහෙම ඒ කියන්නේ හොඳයි අම්මලටත් වඩා හොඳයි තාත්තටත් වඩා හොඳයි එහෙම හිතනවානේ. අම්මලටත් වඩා හැබැයි දාන්නේ මම රෙකෝඩ් කරා. මේ ඇත්තම කතාව benefit එකක් නැත්තම් ඉන්නේ නැහැ for sure. right? benefit එකක් නැත්තම් ඉන්නේ නැහැ. simple example එකක් කියන්නම්. නිකන් හිතන්නකෝ both of you are in a relationship, in an affair, and after A levels, the girl is selected to say University of Moradua, Faculty of Engineering, and the boy has got 3 C's and doing say applied maths, physical science, doing an average degree like physical science somewhere else, right? Most probably soon after results, right? Not even waiting until university starts, soon after results, right? Most probably this is happening for 99% of affairs, right? ඔයාලා බලන්න right? ඒ හින්දා දෙන්නම එක්ක වැඩේ කරගන්න ඕනේ නැත්නම් දෙන්නම මොඩේ දෙන්නෙක් වෙන්න. දෙවැත්තම I mean either side works. මෙහෙම වෙච්ච ගමන් right? For sure this is going to break up. For sure ඒක තමයි that's a bitter truth. right? ඒක boy ද girl ද කියලා නෑ හොඳේ. මේක අනිත් පැත්ත උඩ තරම් වෙන්න පුළුවන් මැත්ස් වල. normal ලා. එහෙම එකක් නෑ. මේක නැත්තම් එහෙම favorizations එතනත්. එහෙම එකක් නෑ. stereotypes. එහෙම නෑ. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Right? So therefore, right? So therefore be careful. Be careful. Because මේක කියන්න හේතුව දැන් මෙහෙම එකක් වුණාට පස්සේ දැන් මෙන්න මෙතන ඉන්න එක්කෙනා the victim say this one is taking the second side, right? ඊට පස්සේ දැන් මේ බූට් එකක් අරන් මේක දුවට ඉන්නවා තව මාස 3ක් විතර වැඩ කරන්න නේද ඊට පස්සේ උඩ සෙකන්ඩ් එක කරගන්නත් බැරි වෙනවා මේකද දැන් ඇත්තටම කරොත් නැත්තම් අවුලක් නැහැ මම කියන්නේ ඇත්තම I mean if they were in a serious relationship if something like this happens no probably this one has to do the exam again, right? දැන් මෙහෙම කරන්න බෑ ඊට පස්සේ ගෙදරින් කැමති වෙන්නේ නැහැ එහෙමනේ right කරන්න වෙනවනේ ඊට පස්සේ until you are getting recovered again you have to spend some more time ඊට පස්සේ second try එක ඇත්තටම කරගන්න බැරි වෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ third එකවත් තමයි කරන්න වෙන්නේ නිකන් බොරුවට you have delayed 2 years of your life just because of this, right? Something like that. ඒ නිසා මේ I'm serious, the whole society is unfair. ඒක විතරක් මතක තියාගන්න මම මේ කියපු එකේ whole society is unfair. whole society is unfair. එහෙම නැති තැනක් නෑ තියෙනවා නම් මට කියන්න එහෙම එකක් නෑ. Okay, that's it. Remarks. Write down. Right? එහෙම කරලා එකක් නේද නෑ? කාටද මෙතන ඉන්න එක්කනට? මේවයි. හරි. ආගන්න. හරි එහෙම වෙන්න තියනවා කියලා if you foresee, right? එහෙම වෙන්න තියනවා කියලා foresee කරනවා. Right? If you can predict that it is going to happen, shape එකේ break up වෙන්න. ඒක දෙන්නටම හොඳයි. මේ එතනින් එහාට මම මුත් කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම. Right? මේ that depends that depends. මම මේ කියපු එකේ 1% එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ 1% එකේ ඉන්න කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා. They exist. මම කියවනේ 99% එකට මේක වෙන්නේ කියලා මම කියවනේ. 100% නෙවෙයි. This happens for 99%. 1% එකක් ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි ඔයා ඒ 1% එකේ ඉන්නවද කියන එක මම දන්නේ නැහැ. That's the thing. Right? ඒක මාරම rare. Right? Once we are going to university in the first year, right? Once we are going to university in the first year, මම නිකන් අපේ batch එක ගන්නකො. අපේ batch එකේ අපි whole batch එක ගමු 939. Right? Whole batch. Right? එනකොට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 500 විතර affairs තිබ්බා. ඒ කියන්නේ මාර අහන එකට affairs. ඔක්කොම I mean both girls and boys affairs තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ first semester එක ඉවරන්න ඕනෙත් නැහැ. first semester එක ඉවරන්න ඕනෙත් නැහැ. මේ ඉන්න set එකෙන් මෙච්චරක් විතර batch එකේ උන් එක set වෙලා. එහෙම තමයි. that happens. මේ මෙතන ඉන්න පොඩි set එකක් ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි අරක වෙනවා. ඒක වෙනම එකක්. කැම්පස් එක ඇතුළේ ඒ කියන්නේ කැම්පස් දෙකකට ගියොත් ඉවරයි. එකම එකේ හිටියොත් නම් ගොඩ. නැත්තයි ඉවරයි. right? that happens මේ වගේ තමයි. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් කිව්වරි ඒවට එක that happens. ඒතර මේකෙන් ගන්න දෙන point එක තමයි if you don't have an affair yet, right? Don't start one before the exam, right? exam එක කරගන්න කරලා campus ගිහලා ඕන තරම් වාගන්න. ඕන තරම් ඉන්නවා. right? I mean for both ඕන තරම්. දැන් ඉස්සර මේ කතාවට කියනවා මොරටුවේ girls ලා අඩුයි කියලා මේ effect එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ engineering ඉස්සර engineering විතරනේ ඉස්සර තිබ්බේ. දැන් එහෙම නැහැ මොකද? දැන් මොරටුවේ ඕන තරම් ඉන්නවා. Architecture faculties තියෙනවා, business we have, medicine we have, IT. අර ඉස්සර කතාවට පරණ වයසායකයන් අහලා බලුවොත් කියන්නේ මොරටුවේ මේ girls අඩුයිනේ කියලා. ඇත්ත in effect we don't have. මම දැන් මේක count එකක් ලියුවේ. From this there were only 200 girls. effect එක. This is the story in effect. medicine එකේ මේක අනිත් පැත්ත. right? medicine වල අනිත් පැත්ත. මේ engineering faculty මේ වගේ. that is true. ඉතින් batch එකේම set වෙන්න ඕනේ නෑ. තව departments තියෙනවා, faculties තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ආගි එකත් එහෙමයි. ආගි is like 60-40 වගේ. ආගි එක 60-40 වගේ. right? මේ එහෙම තමයි. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා මේ එහෙමයක් නෑ. just wait until you go through the exam and then you can do anything that you need later on. right? Remarks. Right. Remarks are the most important ones and they are not given in the guide. Okay, first one. Measure periodic time for measure periodic time for අද ටිප් එකක් ගත්තානේ. තව ඉන්නවනේ යන්නේ. මේ මට අර ඇන්ගල්ස් ටිකක් වෙනස් වෙන්න තමයි ඕනේ. ඇත්තටම මේ විහංග ඉන්න දණේ දෙක ගන්න. ඒකයි මේ සයිඩ් එකෙන් ගන්න. right. first one what is it? measure periodic time for number of oscillations within brackets 20 or 25 measure periodic time for number of oscillations to maintain percentage error less than 1%. To maintain percentage error less than 1%. Second point. Listen, you have to do only small oscillations. What's the reason? Only small oscillations. What's the reason? If oscillations are more larger, what happens is a considerable amount of energy is going to be lost as or converted as potential energy under gravity. Potential energy difference එක කාපු ගමන් ඉතින් ඒකට මේක ඇතුළට ෆැක්ටර් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. MGH එකක් එනවනේ. A considerable MGH is coming. So therefore, we have to avoid that MGH term as much as it's doable, it's possible, right? So therefore, only small oscillations are considered, right? මේ වගේ oscillation එකක් consider කරොත් 1 meter වගේ එකක් එනවා කියන්නේ MGH is a considerable value, right? So therefore, that total energy stored in the string is not going to be half kx squared. That will be half kx squared plus mgh. Right? Only mgh part right? Second point, only small oscillations are considered. Only small oscillations. Only small oscillations are considered. Only small oscillations are considered because only small oscillations are considered because difference in gravitational potential energy, difference in gravitational potential energy, because difference in gravitational potential energy, because difference in gravitational potential energy can be neglected for small oscillations. Next point. Even if the experiment is conducted, successfully, you won't get a straight line which goes through. You won't get a straight line which goes through. You won't get a straight line which goes through origin. You won't get a straight line which goes through origin. Instead, for the same point, instead going to get a y equals mx plus c graph. Instead going to get a y equals mx plus c graph. Because around 1/3 of mass, because around 1/3 of mass of string, because around 1/3 of mass of string contributes the motion. Within brackets in red, t equals 2 pi root m over k. T equals 2 pi root m over k. T equals 2 pi root m over k. T equals 2 pi root m over k is valid only for light springs. Is valid only for light springs. Is valid only for light springs. Right. Next point. Listen. Now, when you add more mass, this is coming down now. So therefore, accordingly, you have to change this locating pin as it is coming to the same point when you add the mass. Right? Once you are adding masses one by one, this goes down little by little. Right? So therefore, accordingly, you have to change this locating pin as well. Right? Next point. Change the position of locating pin. Change the position of locating pin. Cinematic moves done nante katte. Change the position of locating pin accordingly. Change the position of locating pin accordingly when change the position of locating pin accordingly when mass is added. right? Now here also, listen, here also, now when you start the stopwatch, the countdown as we did before is also followed. Oscillation, right? 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, up to 25. Right? Next point. Start stopwatch. Start stopwatch. Start stopwatch. Start stopwatch. With a countdown. With a countdown. As 3, 2, 1. As 3, 2, 1. As before. As before. Exact thing. As 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, up to 20 or 25. Within brackets, start stopwatch at 0. Start stopwatch at 0. Start stopwatch at 0. Start stopwatch at 0. Next point. Next point. Fixing one locating pin. Fixing one locating pin. Fixing one locating pin. Fixing one locating pin at the bottom end of spring. At the bottom end of spring. At the bottom end of spring. Make it easier to count oscillations. 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 Right? Okay. So that's basically everything you should know about this. Fine. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Online students? Anything to clarify? Anything to clarify? All good? Dinugi? I don't know. Dinugi. Dinugi. It's driving. On it me. On it ma. On it me. All good? Dinuga. Everything is clear? Huh? Clear? Move by.